This is Grow Omaha Uncut, where you can watch our radio show, including what goes on in the commercial breaks. And be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons.
Good morning and welcome to the Grow Omaha Show, brought to you by D&M Roofing and Dingman's Collision Center. I am Trenton Maggot. Jeff Beals has the weekend off, and he's the guy that usually sits in the chair that I'm sitting in, and he does a lot of the work on that. Don't tell him I told you that, but I do appreciate him. But I am honored to have a couple friends with me to fill in Jeff's big shoes, and that is my co-host Andy Dingman. He runs a Dingman's Collision Center with his family, and Diana and Boyd Dingman and Travis and Darcy Dingman, and you've seen them on commercials, you've seen them in ads, and now you get to hear Andy's voice. Good morning, Andy.
Hey, good morning, Trenton. Pleasure to be here. Brought my radio face with you today. So,
okay, you know, people have said that I have a face for radio, a voice for sign language, and just an all-around great guy. And also joining us today is the director of my alma mater, Randall School of Real Estate, Paul Vojchehoske.
How are you? Glad to be here.
Good morning. And you're also with Nebraska Realty, and you served our country in the U.S. Coast Guard, right?
21 years, 4 months, and 17 days.
Thank you for your service. How long did it feel like?
The last 2 years, it felt like an eternity. The first 19 years, it was like, whew.
Well, we appreciate that, and you've done an amazing thing, and you're here today to talk about some things to kind of protect the public, and our Nebraska real estate licenses, like most licenses, are to protect the public and to give good information. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But it is time for the economic development news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. Eagle Mortgage Company has been in business for 30 years. They're licensed mortgage brokers serving Nebraska and Iowa. For consultation for purchase, refis, you should get pre-approved, and that market is still hot. We're coming right into the spring, and people are still getting a lot of offers. It's a great time to sell, and if you have a place to go, it's even better, unless you have to stay at your parents' house, which might cause you to stay in your house. And but VA and FHA loans, conventional loans. They're right at the corner of 114th and Davenport, just south of 114th and Dodge. Talk to Holly Schneiderwin and her staff there, or you can go to eaglemortgagecompany.com. If you have that pre-approval letter from Eagle Mortgage, you're going to stand ahead of the pack. So do that. Well, I don't know if you guys have seen the new Charles Schwab Field sign at the baseball stadium. Have you guys seen that?
I have.
Got that up just in time. Welcome, Berkshire Hathaway. People from all over the world, probably tens of thousands of people coming in. Andy, you going down?
I will not be able to make it this year.
Okay, but you're going to Borsheim just to hang out and for the free food and get sweaty and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah,
Paul,
are
you partaking in anything?
I am not this year, but is he actually going to be here? Is Warren Buffett going to be here this year?
Oh, I believe so. The question is Charlie Munger. Roger, you know if Charlie Munger's coming in? We don't know. Charlie Munger is not young, either is Warren, but those guys are spring chickens when it comes to what they do, and they're the best at what they do. And Berkshire Hathaway, it's fun to ask people what they think the share of stock. In the 80s, I remember when it was about $3,000 a share. It's never split, the Berkshire A. And it got up, I saw at least $527,000. And yesterday, the day before, is $484,000 per share, which means if you have two shares, you have $1 million in Berkshire Hathaway stock. And I know a lot of people that have a lot of that stock. And Andy, even though you've got a lot of it, I'm glad that you're gracing us with your presence.
Yeah, presence only.
Okay, presence.
Interesting.
But if you want to bring presence of stock, that's welcome too.
The interesting thing is I talked to a couple of people yesterday that normally go, and they were more interested if Charlie was coming than Warren.
Yeah, Charlie's a hoot, and just great guys, great ambassadors for Berkshire Hathaway, and certainly Warren Buffett for Omaha. There's a house right on 52nd Street. I'm sure that there'll be a plethora of people coming from all over the world. You can buy that house. It's listed at $799,000 or whatever, right on 52nd and Underwood Avenue, down the street from where we're at right now, a couple of blocks away. I'm guessing the over-under on that house, because someone's going to get it for an Airbnb or just nostalgia's sake. People that have made hundreds of millions of dollars literally with Warren Buffett's guidance, and they just stayed in. My over-under is $3.5 million. Paul, you're educated more than I am in residential sales. What do you think?
I think you're probably right. And the interesting thing is I think what he ought to do.
Over or under? You're taking the over-under?
I'm taking the over.
Okay, for $3.5 million.
Yeah, and I think if he were to put like a stock tip somewhere hidden in the house.
He already signed. There's an arch in there that he signed. This is where he incubated Berkshire Hathaway, which is a textile company, and he took it over and made it his investment vehicle in the 50s. So, Andy, what do you think?
Yeah, I've heard something where he's got something scribed on his sunroom.
Yeah, on the arch above it.
Yep. I would definitely take the over on that. I can't remember what the winning bid was just to have lunch with a guy, but
it was like $7 million.
So
he's doing one more of those.
Yeah, I can imagine it going.
So,
over.
Paul, do you think $800,000 is high or low? If it wasn't his house, you've got busy Underwood Avenue right there. What do you think it would go for?
I think that's a fair value.
800.
If it was just a common folk.
I thought I'd drive by there and see a big own Warren Buffett's house or whatever. This isn't the house, obviously, that he's currently living in, which isn't far away from that. And it's not much more expensive. I'm sure. I wouldn't be surprised if his current house isn't even updated, but it's got a lot of security features, obviously, for obvious reasons, and you can't pull in the driveway and things like that. But this is the Woodstock of Wall Street, and we welcome all of our international and national and local Berkeys. And whether you own stock or not, it's a fun weekend in Omaha. We went to Le Bouillon on 10th or 11th and Howard Street last night. Then we went to the Jewel, and we saw a great show. It was a tribute to Reba McEntire done by Nikki Boulay of Finest Hour, who is amazing, and her band, Matt Wallace and company. And it was really fun. Have you guys been to the Jewel?
I have.
Andy doesn't get out much. I know the answer to that. So that's pretty exciting. And then the big economic development news is Veta Jeffrey is the new president and CEO of the Omaha Chamber of Commerce. Mickey Anderson, who is the chairman of the board of the Chamber of Commerce, and his selection team picked a lady who I think she's about 53 years old. She comes from Missouri. She's out of St. Louis, and she did a lot of economic development stuff. She was head of diversity. The governor appointed her to a special task force, and we wish her great success. And we also want to thank David Brown, our friend David Brown, who has been a frequent guest on the Grow Omaha show. David has been around Omaha as long as the Grow Omaha show has been around, since 2004, and created something like 45,000 new jobs and 900 and something economic development projects, brought a bunch of national and international companies in Omaha. So we wish David Brown the best in his retirement, and his wife Maggie, thank you for your service. And that is a very public, very complicated job. I can only wish that Miss Jeffrey has great success here. She'll have a big learning curve, and hopefully she has a lot of people around her, both community stakeholders and employees of the chamber, to get her up to speed. And certainly coming into a fresh city, she's got a lot to learn.
She's got a lot to learn and a lot of people to meet. That's the other part of this. Besides knowing the history of Omaha, it's the people that make Omaha, business owners, both big and small. So you're right, the learning curve is going to be steep. And
to know that Dingman's Collision Center has been voted the best of Omaha auto body repair ever since 2005, and they're gaining on mechanical as well. Now, you do great mechanical work as well. And I do want to give a shout out to Dingman's Collision Center, even though Andy, the owner's here. It's family owned since 1996, 4 locations. They've got a really great real estate consultant named Trenton Maggot. And they're Northwest, Midtown, Omaha, Southwest, and Papillion. And hopefully we'll get more locations for you in the near future, if you can keep up with all the work that you got now, which you can.
Well, it's called the Grow Omaha show, right? So
yeah, that's true.
Maybe we'll have to do that.
Grow Dingman's Collision Center. Safety is your number one priority. They do auto body, paint repair, mechanical, and they really work with your insurance company and make sure that they use the right parts to repair your car. And they restore your vehicle's performance and with manufacturer-approved repair procedures. They maintain your manufacturer warranties with certified repairs. Anything you want to add to that? Did I leave anything out?
You did a really good job there, Trent. Thank you.
Thank you. Darcy is nervous because she, I might have to be the face of Dingman's Collision Center. It won't be as attractive, but so we thank you for your sponsorship of the Grow Omaha Show, and we thank your whole family. Travis, I don't want to leave you out, and Boyd and Diana, thank you for everything you do for the city of Omaha. And your dad's famous for delivering Valentine's Day cookies, right?
He does, yes.
Excellent. And my friend Joel Potter with Blue Moon Fitness gives roses to all the female members of Blue Moon Fitness. So those are nice touches. People really remember that on Valentine's Day. So thank you for that.
Can I give an unsolicited plug to Dingman's?
Absolutely.
So my son's girlfriend, about 3 or 4 years ago, she had a Volkswagen Beetle, the girl machine, and it was wrecked. And man, oh man, did we get all kinds. I mean, the insurance company was horrible because the parts for VW can be a little problematic to get them.
Andy would know.
And you know what? Dingman's did a great job. Took everything. I mean, they took the whole case over. And what we thought was going to end up being a several-week ordeal ended up being
overnight.
Oh, well, not quite that. It was about 10 days, but great job. Seriously, that was no joke.
Thank you. And really, the only way we're able to do that is with our employees, because they are the ones that are the heartbeat and make sure that they uphold everything and make that situation possible.
Andy's going to read off the names of every Dingman employee and their title. No, we don't have time for that. This hour is going too fast. But anyway, it's time to take a short break. You're listening to Trenton Magid, guest host Andy Dingman of Dingman's Collision Center, and Paul Vojchehoske, the director of Randall School of Real Estate. We will be back in a couple minutes. You're listening to the Grow Omaha Show, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing, right here on 1110 KFIB. We'll be right back.
This is Eric with D&M Roofing. When a storm
couldn't join us with her, fellas. Thanks.
To the storm and the insurance.
What I meant to say, I should probably say this when we get back, is that Jeff always talks about we have a great show for you today. And last time I did this by myself, I said we have an average show for you today. And so I'll say that we're having an unbelievable show, and because Jeff's not here,
far above average.
Yeah, far above average.
What I didn't say in that is Intertech had the VW bugs for about 3 months.
Before that?
Before that.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't want to throw them under the bus.
You can.
Well, they're not in. It's not them anymore.
Right.
Or are you the official VW bug fixer?
No. Intertech got bought out by Crash Champions.
Crash Champions,
which is a consultant
recommended
out of Chicago.
Recommended is actually a clever name. I don't know if they do good work or not, but why don't you say on the live radio, because there's at least 12 people that listen to this on YouTube.
Say what?
About your competition. Let's trash your competition.
Sounds like a great.
Oh, actually, you're on the radio. Let's not. Yeah, that's enough. That was Paul Vojchehoske, not Andy Dingman talking smack. So yeah, just remember that we are on YouTube, and sometimes we have to edit things when I accidentally say things about people I hate. There's only a couple of them, and you know who you are. Okay, so we are going to come back and let's talk about your topic and things residential real estate for the next 10 minutes or so. And you're welcome to stay on the rest as well, and then this is going fast. Yeah, I don't know if it's the 3 cups of coffee or the cough syrup I took this morning, but got a lot of energy. I'm going to do this.
Every 3 seconds, there's a new victim of identity theft. A criminal could be applying for loans in your name.
Thank God Jeff does the newsletter, so I can.
On the dark web.
God, I didn't cover anything.
Your identity
I'll have plenty for the other.
LifeLock by Norton. LifeLock monitors your info and alerts you to potential identity threats. No one can prevent all identity.
Well, I hope people. This is the best advertising for Omaha and investment and everything else.
To help protect yourself.
Berkshire Hathaway we did.
Yeah, it is.
What did they say? There was 3. They only missed 2 of them, right? They missed 2 or 3.
This is Joe Cordell,
2 in person.
Cordell.
Okay.
When the prospect of
Because they act like so. It's been 3 years since they've been back. Is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Is that 3 years?
They had 19.
So to 20 to 2021. 22. Okay, so it's been 3 years.
for 30 years.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Nebraska or Iowa attorneys. A partner men can count on. 13340 California Street, Suite 200, Omaha, Nebraska 6815.
Have you ever seen those reels that, on social media or whatever? Like they'll have like 9 jelly beans, and all of a sudden they take a rule and they move it, and all of a sudden there's 8. I'm like, how did that happen? And I'm looking at it like 12 times, going, all right, I don't need to be looking at this because it's really annoying. And then there's the one that's like, okay, I give you $20. You give me $20. I'll give you $20. I'll give you 10. You'll get 30 back. And they don't say that the guy lost money. They just give it. It's like we both got $30. Like, there's like 800 different versions of the same stupid. All right, here we go.
Teresa Thibodeau shared a deeply personal story. Sean Callahan gave a Husker buzz, and you gave a Friday Fire for the Ages. It's all in the Ian Swanson podcast link at kfab.com.
Welcome back to the Grow Omaha Show. You're listening to Trenton Magid and guest co-host Andy Dingman with Dingman's Collision Center and the newest sponsor of the Grow Omaha Show. Jeff Beals has the weekend off, and I want to talk to you about D&M Roofing. You've heard it here before. D&M Roofing Inc. is a full-service certified roofing contractor with more than 50 years of experience in all areas of roofing services, both residential and commercial. And I want to highlight commercial today. They will, if you own small or large or multiple commercial buildings, you can call Eric Operupt, the very competent longtime owner of D&M Roofing, and they will, for free, do an assessment of your roof. They will have a drone take it. They've got thermal imaging. They've got all kinds of stuff. They will inspect your building's roofs, and that's great for insurance purposes. If there's a hail event, if there's a tornado, or there's something, you have evidence to show the deterioration and the damage for your insurance company. We've used them for commercial at NAI, MP Dodge, and a lot of our clients like to use them. And check out D&M Roofing because they do amazing things. They also did my house in and out in 2 days. And, I've got a substantial house, guys. And they did a great, no, it's not that big, but they did a really good job. And I've had 0 issues. They haven't had to come back, but they would if I had an issue. And go to dndmroofing.com and let them take care of you. Well, the reason why Paul Vojchehoske, the director of Randall School of Real Estate, I am a 1993 undergraduate for my agent license, and then graduate of 1994 broker's license. And you and your team took over Randall School of Real Estate about how long ago?
August of 15.
August of 15. How long does it seem?
It was a job I was not prepared for, and I've been an instructor there for almost 20 years, and I was not prepared to take it over. It's 75% customer service at Walmart and 25% running a school.
Right.
Stolen checks, bounced checks, credit cards that decline, all that stuff.
What kind of clientele are you getting over there? Yeah, it takes all kinds to get into real estate, ladies and gentlemen. It's the same license, both residential and commercial. It just depends on what you do with it. Most of what we learn is through the school to pass the test, and you get us all prepared to pass the real estate test, but then we have to have a lot of continuing education, which is good at Randall as well, both online and in person. They're down at Rockbrook Village Shopping Center. So we thank you for, we can all use more education, and ethics is number one in our industry, and I always say that there's nobody in commercial real estate I wouldn't do a deal with. There's just a few that I prefer not to, and we've got a very unique industry because we're always calling our friendly competitors. There's usually 2 sides to every deal, and there's not every business. Andy probably doesn't call his. And you don't call your competitors every day in collision repair and mechanical, do you?
Not every day, but certainly from time to time.
You get along. You have trade associations and things like that. But we're always, we always need to get along for the sake of the deal and for the sake of our sanity to get along with our. We're showing other people's wares. We're showing other people's inventory. So what we're here to talk about today is an unfortunate trend. The residential real estate market's been very hot in the last couple of years in the nation and around the world, basically. And tell us what your concerns are and what you're seeing out there.
Well, there's a trend called wholesaling, and probably most of you that are listening have in some form or fashion been a part of this, where you receive a phone call or a text that says, hey, are you thinking about selling your house? Or, a quick close, 7 days to close the deal, cash offer, all of that. Well, those are typically calls from wholesalers. And a wholesaler is someone that's out to get your equity out of the property. And what we see, just to kind of illustrate the transaction, let's say, Trenton, that you're the seller and I'm a wholesaler. You and I are going to negotiate a purchase price, and it kind of goes something like this. Hey, I think your house is worth $100,000, and it needs $40,000.
Sold.
Exactly. It needs $40,000 worth of work to it. So I'll cut you a break. I'm going to give you $70,000 for the house. And you say, great, let's do it. So we sign a purchase contract. And structurally what happens as soon as that purchase contract is signed by you and I have what's called equitable title or equitable interest. It's a legal interest, and I could sell that.
And I can't sell it to anybody else.
You can't sell it to anybody else at this point, but I can. And so then I go out and I start marketing for a buyer. And then
is that legal? The marketing part is since you don't have a listing, you just have a purchase agreement. And I know you're not an attorney or CPA, but can you legally, even if you have, whether or not you have a real estate license in Omaha or Nebraska, can you market my house?
So at that point, I can market the equitable interest that I have, not your house, but my interest.
So it's a purchase agreement interest, kind of.
Exactly. Now, the legislature did pass a law, LB 892, that was passed. It goes into effect July 1st, where you have to be licensed or use a licensed agent to market your equitable interest that you got from a contract.
Good.
And it is a good thing. It's modeled after Oklahoma's law that has done a really good job of curbing a lot of the predatory aspects of this, but it doesn't go into effect until July. So that's one thing that was done. The biggest problem that I'm seeing at Randall, it just seems like as the director, I'm like the disinterested third party that everybody can trust. And so they call, and I'm starting to collect these different contracts. And
you said you had 51 of them right now?
51 of them. And what they do is I'll go to you as the wholesaler, Trent, and I'll say, listen, your house is worth $100,000, but it's really worth $175,000. It's one thing if you're honest.
And I'm none the wiser because I'm just a commercial real estate guy. I wouldn't know residential if it bit me.
Exactly. Well, at least you have some real estate experience. They're really predatory on the unknowing, the people that really are in dire straits or they don't know, and they lie about the market value. There was an inference that I'm going to do $40,000 of work to your property, which I have no intention of doing. That was only so I could even get a lower purchase price. And then I turn around and then I sell it for $175,000 because that's what the market value is.
So I'm actually, you assign it and I'm closing with somebody else and I'm none the wiser.
Yeah, it's called an assignment of a contract.
And so does that buyer then just pay you a transfer assignment fee?
That's essentially what happens. And so at closing, the closing company is going to cut a check to me for what my profit is, cut you your $70,000, and everybody moves on. So
listeners, if you retain anything from this show, number one, if you get a call saying that someone wants to buy your house, and I got a call yesterday as a matter of fact, it was a voicemail because I didn't recognize the number. I think it said spam. And it kind of went like this. It was like, hey, I don't know if I have the right phone number, and I'm just looking to buy a house the next few months, and any conditions fine, and quick close, and it was one of those things. And I listened to it for entertainment value and for research for the show. That's about as much research as I did. Jeff does a lot more research for the show, and to be honest, and so that happens, and I'm sure everyone that's listening, whether you get texts that's away, you get phone calls, you get emails, whatever it is. Number one, talk to a real estate professional. You don't have to, unless you have to leave the country suddenly or something and you need to sell your house for cash and discount it incredibly, there's almost zero reason for you to take that call and just say no. The other thing is, if you get a call to buy a timeshare, you probably shouldn't buy it. As evidenced by the plethora of commercials saying, sell your timeshare now, which they want big money, and you give it away and you give away your equity and everything. Timeshares generally are not a good investment. So that's for a whole nother show because we don't have a lot of time. What else is going on in residential real estate right now, Paul? We are starting to see some of the price ranges starting to slow down a little bit, but anything under $250,000.
And if we're seeing multiple offers, today you may get 4 offers instead of 2 months ago when you had 15 offers.
Because prices are up.
They are.
And rates are going up a little bit.
Rates have gone up substantially.
I don't know where the time goes, gentlemen, but we need to take another short break. This is a half-hour break, and we'll be back in a few minutes. But you're listening to Trenton Magid, Paul Vojchehoske, and Andy Dingman. And we're right here on 1110 KFAB. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
God, this is going fast.
By the way, Charlie Munger is on stage.
Is he?
He is. Wow.
He is on stage.
Yeah. They have the problems not to have a surprise party for him.
People were asking at the office yesterday, like, is Charlie going to be here? Wasn't no mention of Warren. It was Charlie.
I saw that they got these credit cards when you walk in or whatever. It says Capitalist on it, and it's got a picture, like a caricature of Warren and Charlie on the back of it. It is pretty cool.
Apparently, Greg Abel and Ajit Jane, I don't know how to pronounce this, Jain, they're both on stage with him too.
Right.
Who's Jeet? Oh, Ajit, whatever.
Yeah. Jane, John.
He's John.
So Bluffs and Atlanta.
That'd be a fun discussion to watch.
Noddle Development Spotlight. I love getting rid of these papers.
Well, Charlie's always entertaining because
he's hilarious.
He took a question, or Warren took a question, or was read a question that had been submitted for one of the journalists. And he said, well, that's not really an area
It's an
that
initiative to activate
I'm into very much. And said we're just saying, he said a couple, 3 sentences, and then I looked over at Charlie to say anything he wanted to add to it. And Charlie just leaned into the mic and said, I know less about it than he does.
That guy's having fun.
Just sit there eating their C's peanut brittle.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Yeah. Especially Charlie. He gets everything. I mean, Warren talks so much more. He can't take too many.
He's like 10 years older than Warren.
Charlie's 98.
Yep.
And Warren's 91.
That's amazing. Okay, we got all kinds of things that we can talk about.
Is this how you do your research, like on the fly?
Pretty much. I was going to do this yesterday afternoon. I was prepared and everything. I get a call from someone that owns 4 storages. I do a lot of stuff for Storage Mart. And, it could be a $30 or $40 million deal. And so that changed my afternoon. And then another deal, $2.1 million offer to make, and another $2.1 million, looks like I'm going to make money today instead of prepare for the show. I don't know if you guys could tell. No, but
it's at least an above average show.
It's at least above average. Yeah. Well, I'm only limited to my guest knowledge,
right.
and no, we love our guests.
Did they find out what caused the fire over there?
That's a great question.
Judging by the damage Russian forces have done.
It's probably a friction fire. It's not Noddle. It's not Noddle. It's not. The paper said that the residential over there is Broadmoor Development. It's not Tom Feldman and Howard Cooper. There's a joke, and I'm not attributing to this owner. It's like a $90 million project or something. The joke always when there's a fire is they couldn't start a flood. And the other one is it's a friction fire. That's when the mortgage rubs up against the promissory note.
Right.
But that's too bad because there's people that have moved to furniture and everything. And, these people are at twilight of their lives, and one gal used to have moved from California. She was in apartment 401 or whatever, just moved all of her worldly possessions in there, and sad. They said something about it starting on the roof or something like that.
It's all they were focused on, that's for sure. Had to be on top.
They were. That was like a priority project.
I don't know how long that's going to take. And then, so someone wants to move in there after they repair it. Like it's like buying a brand new car. It's like buying a brand new car and then you crash it going out the lot,
Right.
and it's like the first thing you want to do is sell it, right? So do you want to get into an apartment that has Bondo on it? You guys use Bondo? Is that just like a poor man's repair?
It's a generic.
I do like the smell though.
Yeah.
I love the smell of Bondo.
Get a high on Bondo?
This is why you can't come into the back room.
Yeah. Because you use Bondo base?
Yeah, I mean,
Special sauce.
be careful.
What makes Ayers & Ayers a better option for your commercial construction? How about
Interesting. I don't know what they
35+
advertise
years
here.
of design, build, solutions
Is that what
with
you're watching when
in-house
you-
architecture?
Yeah.
Fill in your
How
logo.
about its experience?
It's usually on Fox News. How do you
Yes,
see it?
I was trying to
Thanks.
find.
How about industry-leading products?
You
and
probably wouldn't have been watching that if that was up. If that channel was on, you probably wouldn't have been.
Here's difference by visiting Ayers & Ayers.
Did we cover everything you want to talk about?
Yeah.
453-8600.
Is there any information that they gather from public sources that it maybe means different things like that, or that then creates some of that predatory, like it's a mark, like this person's going through.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of lists. And what they do is the contract is a poor contract. You know, our scenario. I was dealing with somebody yesterday where the assignee, the buyer, there was a cloud on title, and the wholesaler was like, well, too bad, there's no contingency in the contract that protected you for clear title, so buy it or we're suing you.
Where are they based?
All over New York. There's one out of Atlanta. There's about 5 or 6 big companies that are doing it, and then a bunch of local people that have no idea what they're doing. Investors, they've seen a show on late night TV.
Makes everybody look bad.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take a free career evaluation. It's not rocket science.
Signing, having the seller sign general POAs and just things like it's unbelievable.
It's sad because it hurts the whole industry, especially yours. But
it does. And unfortunately, some of them are real estate agents.
So the middle of the show break sometimes can be a little bit long.
It's about a half minute left.
Okay. How long is this break? 5.5 minutes?
No, it's with the news. It's probably about 7.
Just 7, ladies and gentlemen. You could have baked a pizza in the meantime. Breakfast pizza. You could have gone to Casey's, got the breakfast pizza. And
They
come down
got
the street.
legit pizza, breakfast pizza. It's legit.
Totally healthy.
Well, nothing that tastes good is healthy.
Tom Osborne said after he went on that diet because of the heart issues, he said, well, what are you doing? He says, I just know if it tastes good, I don't eat it. All right, here you go.
Is available everywhere with our iHeartRadio app, #1 for broadcasting. Billy 1110 KFAB.
And welcome back to the Groma Show, brought to you by D&M Roofing and Dingman's Collision Center. You're listening to Trenton Magid. Jeff Beals has the week off. He'll be back with us in this seat next week. But I've got Andy Dingman as my co-host. He is the owner of Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Centers, and Paul Vojchehoske, who is the director of Randall School of Real Estate. And I want to talk about our friends at CoStar. Go to CoStar.com. Great national and local real estate news, and they keep us informed on what's going on. And I didn't realize this, guys, but did you know that there's still Kmart's out there?
Is there?
There's the sites of the 3 remaining mainland U.S. Kmart stores are up for grabs. Big box anchor space is being pitched to new tenants as the once mighty chain and American cultural touchstone appears to be nearing the culmination of its slow wind down. The activity comes as Kmart closed its store in New Jersey the day before Easter. Shoppers went in there and they could buy the racks and the mannequins and all kinds of fun stuff. And there's 2 more. There's 2 more. There's one in Westwood, New Jersey, and Miami, and those are being marketed as well. So, c'est la vie, Kmart. I always remember when I was a kid and the K car came out, and the Chrysler K car, and I always thought that was part with Kmart. It could have been sold there probably, given the quality of that K car. But that was Lee Iacocca, if you remember that. So I thought that was interesting. So thank you to CoStar. And then it's time for your Economic Development Spotlight, brought to you by Noddle Companies. Noddle Companies is a very well-known national developer that does a ton of stuff in the Omaha area. They do a lot in Denver and in other places. They've been around for decades. And congratulations to them. Noddle Companies will receive an additional tax increment financing package to expand the dog park and the other amenities at Exarban Village. I don't know if you guys have been down there lately, but they've got that inner rail, that food court, and that's very successful. And what this tax increment financing package is going to do, and they qualified for it initially when they did this is the HDR building and the surrounding environs there. They're going to make more permanent the dog park. They've got kind of outdoor area for concerts and things like that. And they're going to install canopies that are retractable so they can have more events that aren't affected so much by the weather and everything else. And so Stinson Park is down there, and there's new tenants moving into the building above Pickleman's and all those other restaurants and shops there. So there's almost no space for lease and even sublease in Exarban Village. I think they're down to maybe 3,000 square feet or something like that. So congratulations to Noddle Companies, and we appreciate your sponsorship of the show. And that's your Economic Development Spotlight, brought to you by NoddleCompanies.com. Go to NoddleCompanies.com to see all their fabulous developments around the Omaha area.
They got a lot of great eateries in there, too. I mean, they got a great selection of food.
Have you been to Saffron?
Yes.
Saffron rocks.
It does. It's a great job.
So, Andy, we talked a little bit about, and I gave my 2 cents, and Paul gave his 2 cents about Dingman's Collision Center. Give us a little history of Dingman's.
So the history would start all the way back with my grandfather, actually. My grandfather started in...
What was his name?
Francis.
Francis, okay.
Francis. So
is that your middle name?
It is not.
Okay.
It's not. But my dad grew up in the industry with his shop and then ventured out on his own and whatnot. And obviously, being the firstborn, I was at the shop all the time when I was growing up as well. So we started it's in our bloodlines as far as that goes. And we moved to Omaha and started here. And
what year?
Moved in 95, opened in 96.
I was actually in the building on Saddle Creek, but near Center Street, when your dad was fixing to open that, and that's where I met him, was in that shop. We didn't do business together until years later. We bonded, which is a whole other story for a beer. But it was kind of fun, and that's a very unique building that has a natural spring in it, right?
Yeah, the Saddle Creek building is it's got a natural spring underneath there, still flowing today. Very, very cool feature of the building and that
totally area. Unnecessary.
Actually, a funny story is we had an old boy walk in. It's probably been 15, 18 years ago at this point, but he just stopped in to ask if the spring was still there. Because he actually had a bread route back,
right
when they had bread routes. I don't know if they had those when you were growing up or not.
Oh, totally. Bread and milk. We used to have a milk box on our front porch.
So he used to stop and water his horses there at that spring every morning is what the deal was. So pretty neat.
That's pretty good Omaha trivia right there. And the cars are getting more sophisticated, and what has changed, say, just in the last 5 years that Dingman capitalizes on?
Obviously, the technology, and you see everybody's got these advanced driver assist systems coming out, where that may have been unique 5 years ago. It's fairly standard at this point for everything that's coming out. So you've got radars that are adaptive to cruise control. You've got all the camera systems, things that are allegedly supposed to help you, not get into a collision. It doesn't seem to necessarily be working here recently, but I think COVID maybe had something to do with that.
So Was that the natural progression over the last few years of getting into the mechanical side of the business in addition to the body shop?
Well, the mechanical side, we've always had a high interest in exploring, just because it's kind of a natural progression that we deal with mechanical issues all the time, as well as the collision side. So Todd Thompson he runs the mechanical division there, and I've known him for over 20 years, worked with him originally at when we had Saddle Creek just going, and he was at another mechanical facility, but we got to know him very well when he was managing that. And as we got closer to having the opportunity to do this mechanical side, he was always that number one guy for the job.
So check out Todd Thompson if you're looking for mechanical work over on 120th and West Maple Road. I think that people always get nervous when they get in a car accident and things like that, and Dingman's Collision Center makes it easy, and you've got 4 locations now. You'll probably have more in the future, but it's a competitive business, and you guys seem to stand out. And what do you attribute that to?
I attribute it 100% to the people that we have that all have that same philosophy and our culture, because it's not just repairing vehicles, because as you say, it's somewhat semi-traumatic in a lot of cases when you do have a collision. So we're not just fixing vehicles. A lot of times we're fixing people. They've got a problem, and
you have psychologists at every office.
It's extremely stressful sometimes, so we try to unload some of that burden on ourselves as the professionals that can take care of all those things and treat each one as our own, and that certainly seems to help.
So how close are we in your estimate to autonomous vehicles, where it's kind of like an Uber, where people have like a ride sharing service or whatever, but they're just a passenger and they get dropped off their location, and that car goes and picks up the next group?
I think you would have to ask a politician that question. Okay. I don't think I could speculate on when that actually when the technology is available.
Yeah.
Very, very real, very quick. Reality, I don't know.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate everybody at Dingman's Collision Center, and thank you for your sponsorship and your friendship and your business. We need to take our last break. It's much shorter than the middle of the show break, and you're listening to Trenton Magid, Andy Dingman, Paul Vojchehoske on the Groma Show, 1110 KFAB.
Everyone says they like
It's just
in a local company. Then it comes time to get that home loan. Just the biggest investment most of us have.
Yeah, Charlie's nibbling his peanut brittle.
You watching it?
Yeah.
Where's this streamed on?
CNBC.
I didn't get any of the economic development really. Or we'll get to that. So we have the lightning round next.
We're gonna have.
Is that? Can you do that with Kramer? Having his. You sure you're not stepping on some toes with that?
Was it Kramerica?
Jim Kramer, lightning round.
Oh yeah. Does they have a lightning round? We have a news section coming out because we could sell more advertising on the newsletter, and it's like taken from Jeff Bezos' other advice columns and stuff, and the other part of his public speaking business. And I thought we should call it PowerPoints, because it's like educational and success and that kind of stuff. And I thought PowerPoints was cool. Jeff's like, too close to PowerPoint. I'm like, what are they going to sue us? That'd be the best thing ever that happened. Okay, we'll stop. After we got a press release. Do you think of a good name for this section of the newsletter?
It would be.
PowerPoints?
All you'd have to do is put something before it, like real estate PowerPoints, management PowerPoints.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't have to worry about the copyright stuff.
Visit allstate.com.
Yeah, about 5.5, 6 minutes.
What time does the show end?
Well, you'll hear the music at.
We'll have a minute, right?
You have 35 seconds to hear the music.
And what time on the clock does the show end?
A second. Well, 50. You're going to hear the music at about 56:40.
Let's get that fixed.
Okay, here we go.
When the weather turns bad, turn to News Radio 1110 KFAB and the Pyramid Roofing Severe Weather Center and be ready when storms develop.
And welcome back to the Gromo Show, the area's only economic development and commercial real estate radio program, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing. I'm Trenton Magid. Jeff Beals will be back next week. You've heard Andy Dingman of Dingman's Collision Center and Paul Vojchehoske, the director of Randall School of Real Estate. And it is time for our lightning round, and we've got a ton of new things going on in economic development in our community. It is brought to you by Turner Construction. You know Turner Construction that is building a massive data center in Sarpy County. If you go up to Highway 50, about Shram Road, and just keep going south, it keeps going and going and going and going. Turner has 150 full-time Turner employees in the area, 40 of whom are local to Omaha. They do small projects, large projects, whether you need interior build-out or you need a ground-up building, you need a medical campus, you need a data center, you need industrial, retail, office. Our friends at Turner Construction can really help you out. They love to educate their employees and educate the community. And if there's one thing we need is companies like Turner to educate our young and with trade schools and on-the-job training. So we appreciate Turner Construction. Well, guys, here is what's going on in the community. Tired Texan Barbecue, I thought they were a goner, and personally, Porky Butts is unbelievable, and Andy and I have been there together, and I'm sure you've eaten there.
I have.
Paul, it's delicious, and they're closing the restaurant at 108th and Q on May 8th, but the restaurant's going to live on. It's going to be called Tired Texan Southern Grill, operating out of the Papillion American Legion Post, 32 at 230 West Lincoln Street. So that's Papillion. The new Tired Texan will serve Southern-inspired comfort food with barbecue as the special menu item. So I know that family has worked hard, and they had a fire. They had some setbacks over on 108th and L. So glad they're still in business, and they had a great banana pudding. I don't know if you ever had the banana pudding.
I hadn't.
With vanilla wafers and all that kind of stuff. Pretty good stuff. Good Life Sports Bar and Grill is now open for business in the brand new building at U.S. Highway 6 and Lincoln Road in Gretna. We saw that building going up. Stories Coffee will eventually open in the same building. I'll believe it when I see it, but there's reports about Los Angeles area restaurant known as Taps Brewery and Kitchen plans to open in a yet-to-be-announced location in Omaha. According to the restaurant's website, the restaurant started in Yorba Linda, California, recently opened a second location in Corona, California. So it just, we're getting a wave of coastal people coming into Omaha. Hope they don't change our politics too much. That's for a different show, though, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of sad news. Paradise Bakery and Cafe is going to close its doors in Regency Court May 2nd. The Village Point location will remain open. It's always a tasty place. Construction is underway on a new convenience store and gas station as part of the Baker's Supermarket at 132nd West Maple. You're seeing Baker's and some of these other stores, such as Sam's and stuff, put in the gas station convenience store. Good thing they're not putting in mechanical shops or body shops.
Right.
For Dingman's there. REI update. Rod Yates, the owner of the Outlet Mall in Gretna. The construction is coming along rapidly on the future Recreational Equipment Inc. REI store at Nebraska Crossing. The landlord plans to deliver the 25,000 square foot building to REI in June and hopes that the store will open around Labor Day weekend. So I know people can't wait for that. Heartland Paws, a natural pet food and supplies store, will hold a grand opening celebration Saturday, May 7th for its new store in Pepperwood Village next to Baker's near 156 and West Dodge Road. It's a local family-owned store, sells food, treats, supplements, and pet essentials. Give them some love, ladies and gentlemen. Millwork Commons. We sometimes like to list new restaurants and retailers going to certain real estate developments. Our friends that are developing Millwork Commons, Black Dog Development. Here's a list of tenants going into Millwork Commons which is north of the Charles Schwab Field, formerly known as TD Ameritrade Park. We talked about that. In North Downtown, Archetype Coffee, Coneflower Creamery, which I was interested that they're going there, and they need a west location next, hopefully. Hutch, which I believe is a furniture store. Sweet Magnolia's Bake Shop, and Cross Strain Brewing Company. So that's really neat. They've got a really nice, I think it's called Smile Apartments. They're going to have a lot more going on in the Millwork Commons area. And then something that's very cool, near and dear to my heart, which is the Southport area in La Vista. Have you guys heard about Smash Park coming in?
No.
Smash Park, it's not a place where you go and you throw things at a TV set or break glass with a helmet on. What Smash Park is, it's a couple that started, and I think they've got 2 locations, if I'm not mistaken, in Des Moines. It's about imagine right across from Cabela's. If you're going into Cabela's, it's right to the left, the other side of the hotels, and there's going to be 25,000 square feet on 3 acres. Imagine like a Dave & Buster's with pickleball and all kinds of different events and things like that. So Smash Park will be there. There'll be a hotel next to it. And so we welcome a lot of new things happening in the La Vista area. Well, Andy Dingman, Dingman's Collision Center, we welcome you. We appreciate you being on the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And Paul Vojchehoske, thank you for informing the public. And we appreciate it.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back next week. Join Trenton and Jeff next week on 1110 KFAB Grow Omaha Show.
Another average show. God, that went fast. Did that go fast?
It always goes fast.
It was an hour.
Because it was so good.
Yeah.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.